I'm Debbie, and I'm one of the group members from Group 7. So for this project, we have decided to come up with a game called Demon Lord Revive. So for the agenda in this video, me and my group members will be presenting about the introduction, project planning, project design, project outcome, and also the conclusion. So I'll be talking about the introduction and also the project planning. So with the surge of COVID-19 pandemic, the gaming industry has since witnessed a rapid increase in recognition. Therefore, we have decided to take the old school route that takes the player back to a different experience, which is an adventure text-based game. So what about this game? It is an adventure text-based game that has a storyline which is done by us. Moreover, there are multiple endings available whereby the player's choices affect the ending. So for the next part, project planning. So this is the final UML class diagram that we have came up with. So as you can see over here, there are 8 classes in our project, which are character, player, story, prologue, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and also the ending. So the class character has 3 protected attributes, which are name, health bar, and damage, to constructor with the same name, which is character, where one is an empty constructor while the other one has parameters. So, and there are 10 methods, which are calc health, get name, get health bar, get damage, set health bar, print story 0, print story 1, print story 2, print story 3, print ending. And this is the class player that has 3 private attributes of itself, which are level, relationship bar, and choice, whereby the private attributes of C0, C1, C2, C3, and N aggregated from the class story. So there is an inheritance between these class, character, and also player, as the character class is a subclass. So over here, the class story is an abstract class, and the classes prologue, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and ending are the subclasses for the class story. So all the chapters and ending have their own private attributes, which stores an array of their story based on their respective chapters and also part. For example, like chapter 1 underscore 1, which is chapter 1 part 1, chapter 1 part 2, chapter 1 part 3. And also, other than that, we have implemented the concept of inheritance and polymorphism into these classes, where the methods is print player in prologue, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and ending will override the method in the class story. So that's all from me. I'll pass it to my team members. Thank you very much.
A very good morning to lecturer. My name is Chia Liang and I'm from Group 7. Now I will present about the project designing in our project. So I will talk about the concept implement and also the class relationship that we implement in our project. So let's see in the perspective of coding. So we can see here, this is our program. So the first thing that we implement is the abstract class named story. So it has an abstract method called print player, and here we also implement the exception handling, which throws interrupt exception. Then we have a child class called prologue to inherit the parent class story. So here we show the concept of inheritance. Then we also have the method that override the method in the abstract class. So this shows the concept of method overriding and polymorphism. And then you can see here in our chapter 1, we also inherit the story, and then we use the array to store the message that we will display because our project is a game, so we will display the story of the character. So we will store the string line by line, so it will display the story line by line. So in here we also override the print method, and we'll throw the interrupt exception. Why we need to throw the interrupt exception? Because in our coding we have this thread.sleep millisecond 2000. So what this function does is to delay the program for 2 seconds. So our program will show the story line by line every 2 seconds. So in order to apply this thread.sleep, we need to throw the interrupt exception. Okay, and then the next thing we do is the do while loop in this print method, because we want the user to choose their choice, to choose the option that we give them. So we have 2 options. So each option the player can choose and lead to different ending. Okay, so after that the chapter 2 is also the same thing. Then the chapter 3 also inherit the class story, also do the same thing, just continue the story. And then the ending also inherit the story. So for ending we have 2 endings, which is ending 1 and ending 2. So one is good ending and another is bad ending. So in the method print here, so we have two possible endings. So in the previous choice, the player can make a choice to have different results. So in the different result will increase the relationship bar and also the level. So we can see here. Okay. Here, so when the player choose is 1, so the relationship bar will increase by 10. So this is where the relation bar is used to determine the ending is good or bad. So when the relationship bar is greater than 40, and also the level is greater than 3, so it will display the good ending for the player. Otherwise, it will display a bad ending. So next we have our class character, which has the protected attributes, name, health bar, and also damage. Why we put protected? Because we want the child class of this class can access the attributes. So we have the constructor. We have also overload the constructor with 3 parameters. So this one is the function calculate health to calculate the health bar of the character. And then we also have the assessor, also have the setter. And then this one is the empty method that will be override by the class player to achieve the polymorphism also. So in the class player, we also inherit the class character, which is the parent class. So in here we have our private attribute, and also the constructor and overloaded constructor. So this is the getter, and then we have function level up to set the level increase by 1. We also have the set relationship bar to update the relationship bar of the player. And then we can also have a read choice method to read the choice of the player. And then in the read choice we set the choice according to what the player choose. So here is the the print story. This is the override the method in the parent class, and then what it does is to print the print a story. Yeah, but according to the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and then the ending. And then the last we have our main class. In the main class we only just create the object of the player and then give their name, helper, and also their damage. And then we just print the ending, print the story and the ending, which you apply the meta print above previous, which we have shown in chapter 1 until the ending. So that's all for my part. Thank you.
Okay, and moving on, just gonna elaborate a little bit more about the things that we have implemented in our code and our overall project design and how our code does what it does. And first, I would like to just go quickly to the player class and say that how the player class is inheriting from the character class, and the player class will be our most integral class, which will be the one responsible for displaying everything. And as from the name suggests, it's the class to create the player for the player character that the user is going to be using, and it's also responsible for displaying everything else. And as you can see here, there's the attributes for choice, relationship bar, which are gonna be determining the ending of the game, how the game ends. And then I'm gonna go to the prologue class, and I just want to highlight that in our prologue class, one of our implementations was aggregation. As you can see here, we have created an object of character that is called enemy. So we created the object inside of the prologue class to be able to use the methods and attributes of the character class. And if we go over the code real quick, like for example, you can see now we can, because of using aggregation here, we can do this one. This statement will execute with no error. You are currently fighting the hero, and then the enemy.getName, which was already initialized here as Jackson, and so on and so forth. And I think everything else has pretty much been mentioned by my teammate, and so that will be the only thing to highlight just now, which is aggregation. And then we'll be moving on to the next part of our presentation. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Amira Azkia, and I'll be talking about the project outcomes, which is one, implementing all the functions we learned in class, such as aggregation, abstract. We also have array in our code. Second one is displaying the story and dialogues, while the player can also pick different choices. And the last one is creating a complete functioning program. So as we can see here in the program, I already run it before. So here is the dialogue, and then here the player can choose different choices. For example, if we choose 3, which doesn't include in here, it will give invalid choice, and it will also repeat the same choices once more until I actually choose something given here. The story will continue on, and depending on the choices, it will also give different endings later on. So in conclusion, the system will take the player choices as an input and proceed to different dialogues based on it. And here we can see that we are using F choices here, and we are also using a while in here for the choices that we choose on the F1. And it's also gonna it's gonna loop the choices. Gonna loop the choices again if we chose an invalid choice. Here's the array for the story. And then here once more. The ending will be based on the affinity point and level. So you can see here, let me just scroll down a little bit at the ending section. Okay, cut this thing out. I'm really sorry. Here it is. Wait. Here it is. This is the story. Here, based on the relationship part, it's more than 40. B, it will give ending number 1, and if it's not, it will give us ending number 2. So if I were to give a suggestion on how to make the system much more better, it's probably by making this game more of a RPG game with short dialogues and more choices, because this one is mostly dialogue, as we can see. I think it would be much better. Either that or use some sort of like GUI, but I know it's difficult to implement in a short time, basically. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.